Day 23, France against Uruguay. France, the finalists of 2006 and the winners of the tournament in 1998, had reached the semi-final yet again. Uruguay, without Cavani, simply had no answer to the French team, somewhat lacking the explosive brilliance of the Argentina game, but nonetheless just as effective in what was more a workmanlike display. France controlled the game, the possession. They were calm and composed. Uruguay were by and large untidy, lacking the quality and true penetration to make a difference. So there was no Cavani, out with a calf injury. His replacement, Stuani, wasn't on the same level and found himself substituted. Cavani's absence left a gaping hole for Uruguay. They literally had their arm like cut off. The focal point of the team had gone as Suarez failed to register a single shot on goal. The prospects had been high for Uruguay, having won 7 consecutive games. They'd had 10 clean sheets in 13 matches and conceded 1 in the last 5. They'd not conceded against the French in World Cup in contests at the 2002 and then the 2010 competitions, both results in scoreless draws. Defence was their expertise, and the country had totally come to a standstill. Interestingly, France hadn't lost to South American opposition for 9 games. The name on everybody's lips was Kylian Mbappe, whose defining moment was against Argentina. It was an explosion. The pace, the strength, the power. With Matuidi suspended, Tolisso came in to add balance to the team. It promised to definitely be an intriguing contest. It was a shaky start from the French, certainly lacking in rhythm. They were unable to break out as they were pressed by Uruguay. The stop-start nature to the match wasn't suiting France, who found themselves smothered as Pogba was unable to control the proceedings as he had done against Argentina. There had been a few dangerous balls sent across Uruguay's goal map, but there was nobody on hand to make any effective connection. Uruguay had definitely made the more promising of openings and was certainly on the front foot, and they had a lot less of the ball, but they were equally as comfortable. They were compact as usual, defending as a unit. Mbappe, with an attempt, looped the ball onto the netting. He had much more time than he had envisaged as he tried to head it very early. And Lloris was then forced to come off his line to fist out the ball as Stuani came in to pursue as the ball was played in on goal. But then France, with their first attempt on match of the contest, took the lead with Varane glanced and header wide of Muslera, and France had taken an improbable lead when considering the way proceedings had gone up until then. Then Caceres forced the save of the game from Lloris, fully stretched. He touched the ball around, and with the goal gaping for Godin, he gave a defender's finish by skying wayward and over. A big chance missed for Uruguay. So on to the second half. France was sitting back and were able to play more in the counter. They'd achieved their first objective of not going behind to a team as resilient and as strong defensively as Uruguay. The South Americans certainly needed a lot of the fighting spirit that they were famed for. Suarez and Stuani weren't really doing much. So Tabarez, the 71-year-old, made 2 changes, bringing in Rodriguez and Gomez on 60 minutes. They went back to play a flat 4-4-2, and eventually they ended up with just 2 defenders as they sought out the equaliser. But it all came undone when there was despair for the Uruguayan fans when Muslera, one of the most experienced goalkeepers in the tournament showed displayed a lack of concentration and allowed a very routine drive from Griezmann to slip through his grasp and bounce over the line. Griezmann could hardly celebrate. It was that embarrassed. He'd probably pretty embarrassed. So Uruguay, in search of finding a way back into the match, they threw men forward, but there were more gaps open for the French to exploit, and then they started losing it. Then came out the elbows and the kicks. The ref was losing control. The Uruguay had totally lost their discipline, and Mbappe got a dig in the ribs when he started to showboat, and then it was just a cynical and side to the Uruguayan game. It was a trait that South American sides seem to display when matches started to slip away from them.